Hello, everyone. Today we're diving into a topic that is so crucial for our overall health, which is eating for a healthy gut. Have you ever felt bloated, sluggish, or just off after eating something? Or maybe you felt fantastic, energized, light as a feather after a meal? Well, that is your gut reacting to something that you ate. In this episode, we're going to explore the foods that can help support your gut health and the foods that can, well, do the opposite, hinder your gut health. At the end, I will also share a couple meal ideas to make it easier for you to start implementing the tips that I'm sharing in terms of what to eat and what to, well, try to avoid. Because a gut friendly diet doesn't have to be boring or hard to create. It is actually so simple and full of nice meals and whatnot. Let's dive in. Let's get your gut feeling good. As always, before we dive fully into the tips and meal ideas, I want to talk a little bit about why our gut health is so important. Your gut is often called our second brain. It's because this is where the majority of the hormone serotonin is produced, which has the responsibility of making you feel good. Plus, a healthy gut contributes to a strong immune system, better mood, effective digestion, and it can even help control autoimmune diseases and balance your hormones. I personally learned about gut health the hard way after struggling with digestive issues for a long time and not no one really being able to help me. Like I went to the doctor because I had like stomach ache and stuff, but it wasn't until I changed what I ate that I truly was able to heal. And I have to also say on that side that after a long time, finally, I got diagnosed as lactose intolerant. So avoiding lactose filled products has helped me with my gut health, but also shifting my diet overall, following the strategies that I'm sharing with you now when it comes to foods to focus on and foods to at least limit a bit. It's the gut microbiome, which is the community of trillions of bacteria living inside your digestive system that plays a crucial role in your overall health. These trillions of bacteria do more than just help digest food. They are actually what affects everything from your metabolism to your immune system to your mood. And recent studies have shown that the diversity of gut bacteria that can influence many aspects of your health. For example, a well-balanced microbiome, a well-balanced or like a healthy balance of gut bacteria is linked to a reduced risk of certain diseases like type 2 diabetes, obesity, and lots of inflammatory diseases such as, for example, inflammatory bowel disease, IBS, and also the fact that the gut bacteria produces the neurotransmitters like serotonin and dopamine inside the gut shows again how important our gut health is because it not impacts just physical health, but also our mental health. And now diet, beside, of course, stress, is one of the most direct and influential factors affecting the microbiome, ultimately affecting your gut health and your overall health. This means that what you eat can either support a diverse and balanced microbiome, or it could lead to an imbalance where the harmful bacteria take charge, overgrow, or take away the balance and become too numerous, and which can then lead to weight gain, high blood sugar, high cortisol, high cholesterol, and other issues. So this is why choosing the right foods is so important. And that's why also why choosing foods that nourish your microbiome is so essential. So when it comes to food and what we eat, it's not just about weight loss or being thin, looking a certain way. It's so much more important that we take care of what we eat because it impacts so much, as we saw. It impacts your gut microbiome, which impacts so much when it comes to how you feel. And how you feel is so much more important than how you look. And of course, being healthy is so much more important than how we look. So we should also focus when we think about what we eat and all of that. We should not just focus on like avoiding certain foods because they help us lose weight or something. We should look at the foods we eat and choose foods based on how they make us feel now and in the future. Because for me, I used to, especially when it comes to food, just think about how it would help me lose weight or not and all of that, and never really thought too much about how it makes me feel and how it impacts my health. So now that we understand the crucial role the microbiome plays, let's look at the specific foods that nurture your gut and those that, well, do the opposite, those that might harm it. And for that, let's start with the good stuff. Let's start with the positive. So the foods that you should focus on, the foods that are your gut's best friend, starting with fermented foods. So items like, or foods like yogurt, kefir, sauerkraut, kombucha, or one of my favorites, tempeh, are all rich in probiotics that help balance your gut flora, your gut microbiome. This is because fermented foods contain those probiotics, which basically are the good kind of bacteria that we want to have more of in our gut so that it creates that healthy balance. Harmful bacteria will always be present inside our gut, but it's about their numbers. So if we make sure that we keep their numbers at bay, we keep their numbers small, they usually don't lead to an issue. It's usually when an overgrowth happens, when the dominance of harmful bacteria happens, that the issues arise. And that's why by eating fermented foods, we eat the good bacteria and we make sure that they are in our gut, in our system, in high numbers. Research has also shown that consumption of fermented food can also enhance your immune system. It may reduce severity of certain allergies and infections. So increasing the amount of good bacteria is, of course, only beneficial, but that doesn't mean now just eat that all the time, but just eat it in a balanced way. Add in more of this each week. Maybe, like I said, sometimes drink some kombucha, some kefir, eat a bit more yogurt, but don't just only eat that, of course. Yeah. So all I say now is just we want to create a balance of all the foods that I'm mentioning now. Which leads me to the next part, or the next foods to focus on, which are high fiber foods. So they are essential for digestive health because high fiber foods such as beans, legumes, oats, bananas, berries, vegetables like asparagus, even garlic, onions, or leek are known as prebiotics. And prebiotics are the food for the good bacteria. So we want to make sure that we eat such fiber-rich foods rich in prebiotics so that we can support the good bacteria, the bacteria we want to have more of them, and the good bacteria that helps us with our health and all. So we want to make sure we eat those foods to support them so that they can function at their best, so that they're thriving, that they're growing, and how do you say, carrying out their functions in their best way possible. Fiber-rich foods provide the nourishment for the beneficial gut bacteria, promoting their growth, promoting their activity. And this in turn enhances gut health and function, contributing to improved digestion and reduced risk of chronic illnesses like type 2 diabetes, heart disease, a reduced risk of inflammation, which would lead to autoimmune diseases. So dietary fibers can help you in many ways. They can also, as research has shown, help you regulate cholesterol. They can assist in weight management. And hence, they're super, super important because research has shown that people with a high fiber diet tend to have a healthier, more diverse gut microbiome. And if we have learned something until now, is that this is what is the building block of a healthy life, that gut microbiome, that bacteria that should be, first of all, in a healthy balance and functioning at their best. So this is the foundation of feeling at your best, of having a healthy gut, living a healthy life. Then also focus on eating lean proteins like chicken, fish, and plant-based proteins such as tofu, legumes, because they are crucial for maintaining the integrity of the gut lining, to make sure that the gut lining is, healthy and doesn't have holes in them. This is because proteins are the building blocks for repairing body tissues, including the gut mucosa, which can be damaged due to dietary irritants, and especially due to inflammation, which usually happens because of the dietary irritants or an unhealthy, unbalanced gut microbiota. So the inflammation causes not just autoimmune disease and all of that. Inflammation in our body, especially in our gut, can lead to a gut that is leaking because the gut lining is not healthy, is not functioning well. And by eating those proteins, we help support the health of the gut lining, the wall of our gut. So this is really important because a healthy gut lining helps prevent the leakage of harmful substances into our bloodstream. So waste products, harmful bacteria, even certain hormones, if we have that leaky gut, if the gut lining isn't healthy, they end up in our bloodstream, which then transports those things into other parts of our body, which then create whatever disease or havoc in the parts of the body where they shouldn't be. That's why, for example, gut health is important for hormonal health, because even certain hormones can end up in high amounts into our bloodstream and the rest of our body if our gut health is struggling and our gut lining isn't working well. So protein is super important to support that. And just to give you a graphic idea of what I'm talking about, our gut has tiny, tiny holes through which the essential or the things that are supposed to pass through get through, how our nutrients and everything are absorbed into the bloodstream. But by eating certain foods and stress and inflammation and all of that, the holes can become bigger, the gut wall can break down, and bigger holes means that more stuff that doesn't belong into the bloodstream can pass through. So proteins are super important to support the health, as I mentioned many times already. So I feel like I've been rambling a bit, but I just wanted to say that's also why protein is so important. And it's not just important for weight loss or whatever it is. Lastly, also important is to make sure that we eat healthy fats. So foods rich in healthy fats like avocados, nuts, seeds, olive oil, they not only keep you full, but they also play a significant role in reducing inflammation within the gut. And as we said here, and as we learned until now, inflammation can lead to many problems inside our body, but especially also inside our gut. This is because, and what happens is also when we eat healthy fats, is that these fats help build cell membranes that produce hormones that can positively influence the health of our gut, especially omega-3 fatty acids, which are particularly found in flax seeds, chia seeds, fatty fish like salmon or tuna, are known for their anti-inflammatory properties that can help reduce inflammation, that can alleviate symptoms linked to certain disease that is linked to inflammation, like inflammatory bowel disease. So, yeah, I know today is very scientific, but I just wanted to explain you why certain foods are important to eat and all the things they help with when it comes to our health and our gut health, so that we not just focus on foods in terms of how they help us lose weight and all of that. Because if you are listening here, probably means also that you struggle with emotional eating and hence maybe often just focus on food in terms of, does it help me lose weight? Is this food good or bad in terms of how I'm going to look, and not just about how it's gonna impact my health and how it's going to make me feel. And for me, shifting to that perspective also helped me heal my relationship with food, because it helped me focus on how I feel, not just how I look, which is also essential when it comes to healing from emotional eating and binge eating. Now, with all that being said, let's move on to some foods that we should avoid or at least limit, so that we can support our gut health. So foods that are not so great foods, those foods that can disrupt our gut health, are first and probably most obvious one, processed foods and sugary foods. These are major culprits in disturbing your gut health, because they, first of all, can cause inflammation, which leads to all those problems, but they can also lead to an imbalance of gut bacteria, because whereas prebiotics are the food for the good bacteria, processed foods and sugary foods are usually feeding the harmful bacteria, which then leads to strengthens those kind of bacteria that we don't want to strengthen, and it helps them grow, which then leads to an overgrowth of harmful bacteria, which then leads to an imbalanced gut microbiome. This is really because those processed foods often contain high levels of refined sugars and unhealthy fats that lead to that overgrowth, that nourishment, that nurture the unhealthy bacteria, that harmful bacteria that we want to keep in small numbers. On top of that, many processed foods include artificial additives and preservatives that can diminish the microbial diversity even further, contributing to an increased gut pyramid, contributing to leaky gut, contributing to the inflammation inside the gut that leads to the leaky gut, that leads to the issues with the gut lining, that then brings or lets harmful things leak into our bloodstream, which then leads to many different other health problems. So that's why, processed foods are so damaging. And that's why we should try to avoid them or at least limit them, not just because they make us gain weight most often faster, but also because they are so detrimental to our gut health and overall health. And the next one may be surprising to some, but artificial sweeteners can also be super harmful, and they're often found in diet sodas, diet products, sugar-free products, and they also may negatively impact the gut bacteria and even the insulin response. So often we opt for those sugar-free options with artificial sweeteners to protect ourselves from diabetes and blood sugar spikes and all of that, but they can actually impact the blood sugar and insulin in a negative way. And this is because those artificial sweeteners like aspartame, sucralose, saccharin, they also negatively impact the microbial health, because research has shown that those sweeteners can inhibit the growth of the good gut bacteria. They can hinder that bacteria to grow because they are not nourishing those bacteria. They're not, helping them function their best. There's no nourishment for those kind of bacteria that we want to nurture, that we want to help grow and outnumber the harmful bacteria. This can ultimately lead to a potential glucose intolerance because it alters the bacterial composition inside the gut, which means in a paradoxical way, in the end, those artificial sweeteners are affecting blood sugar and the response to insulin. Now, lastly, for people who struggle with intolerances, of course, we should also avoid those kind of foods. So, for example, gluten intolerances and celiac disease are rather rare, but lactose sensitivity or lactose intolerance are more common. So I quickly want to mention this as well. For those with lactose intolerance or sensitivity, like me, for example, dairy products can lead to digestive comfort, such as bloating, gas, diarrhea, cramps. And this is due to the lack of the enzyme lactase that we have in our body, which is needed to properly digest lactose, the sugar found in milk and other dairy products. So should you notice patterns of feeling bloated, gassy, diarrhea, with cramps after eating something with lactose, maybe it's time to have a test and check with your doctor. It could be because lactose intolerance is actually more common than any other intolerance. So should you struggle with this, of course, avoid such foods. Also, if you're gluten intolerant, avoid such foods because they can irritate your gut, lead to more inflammation, and then so many health issues. And lastly, another thing to be cautious of when it comes to supporting your gut health are high-fat meats, because those meats are usually high in saturated fats, which can be difficult to digest, which then could lead to an increased production of inflammatory compounds. It can lead to an increased risk of inflammation inside your gut because those fats slow down digestion, and which then leads to an accumulation of toxins inside the gut, which then irritates your gut, which can lead to IBS or irritable bowel disease and any other inflammatory gut disorder, because those toxins stay in your gut too long, they irritate and they lead to inflammation. So, as I said, it was a lot. Today was very scientific, but I think it's just an important topic. And me in the past, I found it interesting. And yeah, I'm still learning when it comes to talking about this stuff, recording a podcast, especially on video. So maybe I was rambling a bit here and there because, yeah, I'm a little bit nervous still. But I truly hope that you took the message or that you learned a lot from this. Now, before we wrap up, as promised, I want to share with you just a few quick meal ideas that are an example of a balanced meal that supports your gut health and even your hormones and overall health. But for today, the topic, of course, was gut health. So some breakfast options are, for example, a smoothie with spinach, berries, some flax seeds or chia seeds, maybe even a little bit nut butter, and a scoop of plant-based protein powder, or at least a good quality non-plant-based powder. So any kind of protein powder that is of good quality. These ingredients make for a healthy smoothie that is balanced because it's high in healthy fats, protein, fiber, or if you aren't that much into sweet breakfasts, you could do some scrambled eggs or scrambled tofu on some whole grain bread with some veggies, some olive oil. Again, here, a well-balanced meal. Or when it comes to lunch or dinner, how about trying quinoa salad with some kidney beans, some cucumber, or any kind of vegetable with some olive oil based dressing? Usually, homemade dressings are super simple to make that are based with olive oil, which is that healthy fat that we want more of. So there's many different ways we can support our gut. Or how about some salmon with some sweet potatoes, some steamed broccoli, because this combination provides a good source of omega-3 fatty acids, complex carbs, and fiber, promoting a healthy gut and reducing inflammation. There's many ways, and should you want more meal ideas, just simply reach out. I don't want to talk too much about too many meals, because you can simply message me over on Instagram. I'm always happy to share some recipes, so don't hesitate to reach out. The link to my profile at nourishwith.sarah is linked below. And also important is to remember that the key is to experiment and find ways that work best for your body. Listen to your gut, because it is smarter than you think. Listen to or pay attention to how you feel after you eat. And you will notice over time, when you start tuning in after you eat, what makes you feel good and what doesn't. And usually what makes you feel good, of course, nourishes your gut as well. So that's a wrap on today's episode on eating for a healthy gut. I truly hope you are now equipped and inspired to take care of your gut with the foods that you love, and the foods that your gut loves. And if you enjoyed this episode, please like, share, and subscribe for more healthy lifestyle tips, more healthy living tips to support your gut health through your hormone health, and also, of course, to help you heal the relationship with food. And remember, taking care of your gut is taking care of your whole self. So thank you so much for joining in. Take care of yourself and be well.